Welcome to the Full Story series right here at Comicstorian. This is where we take some of your favorite comic books, we break them down into digestible bites, and we turn them into audio dramas for you to enjoy. Now, a full story on our channel is a collection of a ton of videos that we've been doing over the years that we've been doing this. You see, we do videos on 3 to 4 issues at a time. I then put out a video, and then a couple of weeks later, we do a follow-up to that storyline. Eventually, this storyline comes to a conclusion, or at least one that we're happy with. We take all of those videos and we put them together into one full story. And today, we're going to be giving you the full story of The Flash Rebirth. I hope you guys enjoy, and if you stick around to the ending, I've got a prize for you. The world has stolen enough of one man's life. So before it could take any more, the man stole the world. And the question that everyone asks now is, where is the Flash? With the disappearance of the speedster, Central City was defenseless, left for another hero to take his place. One that would bring order to the city. It would bring the rise of the Rogues. But with the Rogues' reign came insurgents tagging parts of the city with the Flash logo. As more and more of these sightings come into the military compound, Ice Heights, the High Guard asks if there's anyone here that's responsible for the recent break-ins. Mirror Master says that he's too busy with his parties in Keystone to care. Weather Wizard says that he's too busy keeping his eyes on the skies. Heatwave says that he's got his own fires to worry about. High Guard then asks if it could actually be the Flash, and King Cold tells him no. The Flash is dead. Heatwave scoffs, pointing his gun at Cold, asking if he really called them in here for some petty crimes. What are you doing about Lex? The three slowly begin to fade, and Weather Wizard tells Cold to take care of his part of the city. They'll take care of theirs. Cold begins to walk into a room with a large machine and a mirror, and one of Cold's advisors mentions that there have been certain energy signatures appearing all over the city. There have been intense spikes in energy that match that of Mirror Master's technology. Cold tells him that it's impossible. The only location for energy like that is here in Ice Heights. The advisor continues telling him yes. Luthor's hard light technology allows them to harness the power of Mirror Master's mirror dimension indefinitely. The power of creation at their fingertips. The Rogues really have won. Cold then looks away, telling her, yeah, we won. But has any of the scans shown any trace of Golden Glider? Before the advisor can answer, the High Guard runs in yelling that there's been a disturbance in the city. They think it's a cover for another theft. And moments later, King Cold rides on top of a giant tank, and the advisor asks if it's wise for him to be out in the public like this. King Cold clenches his fist, telling her, this is my territory. No one steals from me. A short while later, Cold drives up to see a group of thugs arguing, fighting, claiming that this is their part of town. And King Cold asks them, who do you think this town belongs to? The thugs turn their attention on Cold and they open fire, so he jumps down, telling him, I used to live by a code. Never kill anyone unless it was do or die. But things have changed. As Cold charges up his gauntlet, a voice calls out for him to stop, and then there's a sudden blast of energy pushing him back. Commander Cold jumps in the way, telling Kid Flash and Avery to run. He'll handle this. So King Cold forms a giant ice fist, telling him, I was hoping I'd run into the fake. And why run? Haven't you heard? The Flash is dead. The Rogues won. Commander Cold asks, is that so? Then where are the Rogues? Why do I only see you? Captain Cold, born Leonard Snart, grew up in a troubled home, became a criminal, in and out of prison, founded the Rogues, small-time hood, turned king of Central City. Real rags to riches story there. But that's not the whole story, is it? I know what you did, Snart. Commander Cold throws a small snowflake bomb, blasting King Cold into the side of his tank. King Cold gets up laughing. Yes, I needed this. Nice trick using the snow to hide yourself, so I won't see you coming. You might be from the future, Commander, but you're still using my tech, my Absolute Zero tech. I didn't just build it, I mastered it. As Commander Cold jumps through the snow behind King Cold turns back, catching the punch, and releases a giant ice explosion. The Doom Sigil shines throughout the sky, and King Cold looks down at the now completely frozen Commander, telling him, there's only one Cold. Across the way, Kid Flash and Avery run across the ruins, quickly ducking behind one of the fallen buildings, stating that they gotta go back. They can't leave! And Iris walks out of the shadows, telling them that it's too late. Did they get it? Kid Flash holds up a piece of a mirror, telling them that the plan worked, but... And Iris pulls both Kid Flash and Avery, telling them that there's no time for buts. You gotta stay on the move. Back over at Ice Heights, King Cold walks down the hallway. I saw some of your old partners. They've written me off. Can guess what they're up to, though. They're trying to find a way to turn the world back to the way it was. Because they hope that they're in some kind of a mirror world. That's the best part. This is all real. I'm the king of Central City. Shame the other rogues didn't see it my way. Gave them everything they wanted, and what do I get? Them second guessing. Mutiny. Backtalk. Well, screw that. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. The door opens up and King Cold walks through, telling the prisoner that everyone thinks you're dead. But you were left alive to see this, to see that the rogues, in fact, did win. And there isn't a damn thing you can do about it. And if you do try, you'll end up like Commander Cold. Think about that as you watch him thaw, Flash. Cold tosses something into the cell and slams the door shut. And as Flash struggles against his chains, he sees the frozen head of Commander Cold rolling towards him. Flash tries once more to pull himself out of his shackles, but as he does, a voice shouts to him to give it up already. I'm trying to enjoy the end of the world here! Flash yells back, it might be fine for you to give up, but heroes never do. And Trickster asks him, give up? How dare you? I was living the life before the sky went dark. The Trickster beat the Flash and everyone knew it. Captain Cold didn't like that so much, so he took it away. There's no escaping Ice Heights. This is the end, Flash. And that's what a female voice says, not if I can help it. Flash looks up, asking if it's really her, and Golden Glider phases through the door with her finger pressed to her lips, telling him, shh. Glider's wrappings whip around the Flash's chains, destroying them, allowing him to stand back up. She tells him that they have to get out of here the quiet way, vibrate through the walls with her, and they can escape before anyone gets wise. Flash points to the device on his neck, telling her that he's powerless with the inhibitor collar on. And Glider stops to think, telling Flash that her brother is pretty smart sometimes. Cutting it off would probably activate a failsafe that would kill him if they tried. Oh well, guess we're doing it noisy then. She then releases an energy blast that destroys the cell and tells Flash to hurry up. He looks out at all of the other cells, telling her that they need to free them, they just can't leave. But before they could get far, a robotic voice tells them to halt. Return to your cell or be iced. 3 giant robots burst out of the ground, and Glider says that her brother used to hate puns. One of the robots begins to swing at the Flash, and he yells that there isn't much he can do without his powers. Glider flies by, moving him, telling him that it's not the cool escape that she had envisioned. Does he have any ideas? So Flash asks her, you can phase your body, right? Do the robots know that? She jumps towards a wall, telling him that that's not a bad idea. Hey, Robo! The robots all start charging at her, but as they get close, she phases through them and one of the robots clashes with the wall, leaving an opening behind it. Flash climbs down that opening, asking, how is it colder outside than inside the ice prison? But before he can get an answer, he looks up to see the doom sigil glowing, asking, wait, what happened while I was in prison? Glider tells him that Lex Luthor happened. Time and reality are broken, shattered. It's the end of the world. Flash asks why is she helping him, and Glider says because she loves her brother. Sometimes you have to hurt the ones you love when they make a big mistake. Right now, they need to let the world know that the Flash isn't dead. And a short while later, at King Cold's throne room, he tells the story of how he killed the Flash with this very icicle. The Flash knew that it was the greatest battle of his life. And as he died, the Flash told him that King Cold was his greatest enemy, and that he was better than him. All of the men and women cheer, long live King Cold, and then they're silenced as the High Guard runs in, stating that there's been a breach in the lower levels. Cold gets up from his throne asking which cell, and the High Guard looks at the records, telling him it was cell number 8. King Cold then asks who was it that broke in? And before the High Guard and advisor could say it, King Cold walks off, shouting that his sister has been in hiding ever since we took over Central City. She reveals herself by stealing? Time to create the ultimate weapon, using Mirror Master's tech mixed with Luthor's. Just then, out of the large mirror, giant ice wolves charge out, and Cold says that his sister used to be afraid of dogs when they were kids. Find her! Meanwhile, across the city, both Kid Flash and Avery stare, asking if it's really him. The Flash runs over, hugging them, telling them that no, he is alive. How did they get out here? Kid Flash scoffs, stating that he should ask the criminal. It was her brother who froze Central City. And Golden Glider leans in, telling him that she was the one who broke Flash out of prison. They think it's a coincidence that they just ran into him here. She's bringing him to them. She did that as a sign of trust. So that way they can... But Flash steps between them, telling Kid Flash and Avery that he owes Glider for helping him. How about they just sit down and talk about what happened? Kid Flash says that the whole thing about them going after the Rogues, well, yeah, that didn't go so well. After the Rogues handed their butts to them, the sky went crazy. The next thing that they knew, the whole city was covered in ice and Cold had an army. Glider floats up, continuing the story, stating that the Rogues used the panic to steal the city. They knew that Lex had a plan. They just didn't know that it was the end of the world. But if they're going to fix it, they're going to need these shards. Mirror Master's tech, mixed with Luthor's, is flawed. The mirror is cracked and its pieces scattered across the city. Mirror Master, Weather Wizard, and Heatwave all have one. Kid Flash then asks, how are they supposed to get the pieces of the mirror back to fix this when none of them have their powers? So Flash asks, wait, what do you mean? And Glider tells him that that's why she brought him here, so they can take the collar off and fight the... But as Glider reaches for the collar, Kid Flash and Avery both shout, no, don't touch the collar! Before any questions could be asked, the giant ice wolves howl as they lunge towards the group. Everyone quickly dodges the bites, but one wolf pins Flash down. Glider quickly pushes the wolf off, stating that if only they knew someone with speed powers. So the Flash stands back up, telling Glider, take the collar off. She slides her wrappings around the collar, and as it begins to come off, Kid Flash screams, no, don't do it! The collar detaches, and a massive explosion goes off, ripping the wolves apart. The Flash tries to get up, but continuously phases through multiple realities, asking, what is happening? Kid Flash locks the collar back around the Flash's neck, telling him, whatever you do, never take off this power inhibitor, understand? The Flash asks, what just happened? And Kid Flash tells him, it's what we were trying to tell you. We can never use the Speed Force again. It's broken. It's too dangerous after the Black Flash. With the snow blanketing everything, the speedsters, along with the rogue Golden Glider, push through the icy winds in search of the shelter. Golden Glider flies up, telling everyone that they found it, and the storm reveals their location. Weather Wizard's home. The four of them climb down the destroyed battleship to get out of the storm, with Avery asking if this place is haunted. It's haunted, right? Which now begs the question. Which is better? Weather Wizard's creepy house or the snowstorm that is trying to kill them? Golden Glider says that they have to be careful. Weather Wizard isn't going to be happy that they are there for his mirror shard. Plus, his mind hasn't been all there since... It's at that moment that the lightning strikes down and Kid Flash asks if it was Barry. And then a voice tells him, no. It belonged to me, child. Weather Wizard floats down with his staff, telling them that the deadly storm outside, however, that belongs to Captain Cold. All I asked was to be left alone until the world ended. And yet here you are. The Flash calls out that they could stop Captain Cold. They could reverse what has been done to the city, but they need the piece of the broken mirror. Weather Wizard scoffs, asking Golden Glider when did she become so desperate. And Golden Glider tells them that they both knew that Cold had lied to them. And not just about the offer from Lex. Is it so hard to believe that he lied about killing the Flash as well? Weather Wizard thinks for a moment and then tells her, prove it. Lightning strikes each of the speedster's collars and everyone begins to vibrate uncontrollably. Weather Wizard is confused, asking, what is wrong with them? And Golden Glider tells him that there's something wrong with the Speed Force. It's been supercharged. Weather Wizard then crashes down, telling them, then I will see if my powers can put them down. The Flash turns back and starts to create a giant vortex, shouting, I did not want to fight! Everyone tries to rush towards Weather Wizard, but as Flash gets closer, there's a thundering crack as some of the lightning from the Speed Force strikes Weather Wizard. With Weather Wizard stunned, Kid Flash yells that this is their chance. Get him! But before he can, Flash runs in front, telling him that they can't. Not until they have learned how to properly use the Speed Force again. There will be no running. Weather Wizard gets back up, asking, you dare attack me with lightning? I will show you just how powerful lightning can be. As he lifts his staff, Glider wraps everyone up in her ribbons, telling them that the last time her brother wanted power, it almost killed her. At that time, when he tried to give them powers, which was at the beginning of the New 52 for those wondering, she was separated from her body and forced onto the astral plane. like a ghost. She was cursed to wear these ribbons to bind herself to the physical world. When her brother used Luthor's offer to power them up, she asked for the ribbons back. The Flash stops struggling as the Speed Force begins to calm down, and he asks, "Did you know that your ribbons would suppress the Speed Force?" And Glider tells him no. They had no idea what they were truly capable of. That side effect must have been another gift from Luthor. Just another thing that her brother hasn't told them. What else has he lied to them about? Now with Glider's ability to indirectly control the Speed Force, Golden Glider wraps Flash up in her ribbons to allow him to try and focus and channel the Speed Force without exploding. Flash struggles as he vibrates, telling them that he just needs to get this under control. No matter how dangerous they are, he needs the Speed Force to save Central City, to help his family. Glider smiles, telling him that he sounds like a rogue. They're family too, willing to do anything for each other. People saw her brother as a criminal, but they don't know his past, how they grew up. Flash tells her that they don't know how he grew up either, but he didn't turn to a life of crime because of his past. As the two goes on, Avery calls out that Weather Wizard is ready, and Glider says that she'll fill them in. Once everyone is together, Glider explains that Luthor had broken Cold out of Belle Reve and offered him a deal of a lifetime. Using Luthor's tech, merged with Mirror Master, Len would be able to pull whatever he needed, whatever he wanted, out of thin air. He could create a whole army out of nothing, give them new looks, anything. It was all the rogues needed to finally steal Central City, and with Flash missing, it was just that much easier for them to do. They went along with it because they all trusted Cold, but the thing that Lex didn't share with them was his twist, that the Legion of Doom was going to destroy the world. And as the Doom sigil appeared overhead, they could all feel it. Her brother let Cold take over his heart. He didn't care that the world was ending because he had finally won. None of that set right with anybody on the Rogues. This wasn't what the Rogues wanted. But this was partly her fault because all of this was her idea. In the end, the mirror was broken and Len could only create low-level weapons, nothing huge. So they need to fix and control the mirror. It's their only chance to take out Captain Cold and settle things right. The hard part's going to be convincing him that he's not really winning if the world is ending. And Weather Wizard says that Captain Cold will know the truth. If it's the last thing that I do, this isn't the Rogue's way. You may have my piece of the mirror. However, the others may prove difficult to obtain, especially if the Flash family is walking time bombs. They're useless. Flash then says that Weather Wizard is right. They can't keep Glider's ribbons holding them in check. They need to relearn how to use their powers, and fast. She releases her grip on the Flash and he tries to focus his energy, with thunder cracking from the Speed Force eruptions, and Glider quickly binding him. Avery yells that Glider can't keep holding them back forever, and that Weather Wizard is right. They're useless in this state. Weather Wizard then says that he has an idea, but they're not going to like it. Flash tells him that it doesn't matter at this point. As long as it stops Captain Cold, they need to try. That's when there's an explosion and the Flash shouts for everyone to get behind him. Weather Wizard yells, "No! It's an old friend who has experience taming dangerous elements." Kid Flash asks who it could be, and as the smoke clears, a gruff voice says, "Knock, knock. Been listening to your little predicament." Flash says that it can't be, but as Heatwave walks in, Glider says, "You want to save Central City, right? The three of us are going to show you how." As the training with the Rogues begins, Heatwave yells to Kid Flash to quit vibrating so much or you're gonna get barbecued. Kid Flash gets back up telling him to go ahead and try it. This fist will vibrate right into your head. And Avery then activates her collar stating that this is helping, but it's not working nearly as fast as they need it to. How can they take down Captain Cold if they still have to wear the collars? Golden Glider tells them that they have no choice. But where is the Flash? Outside, Flash is trying to control his abilities, but every time that he picks up speed, he trips and explodes, setting himself back to square one. After trying to control the Speed Force and just getting more frustrated, Glider comes in telling him that he's just as dramatic as her brother. They are, however, running out of time. The two sit and Flash says that he needs to learn how to control his speed. Not just because of Cold, but because he can help the kids have normal lives again. Glider then asks, what is a normal life? Weather Wizard grew up in a family of known criminals, and he was raised to follow in their footsteps. Heatwave's family died, and it was his own fault. He couldn't even help because he was so transfixed by the fire. Both of them are angry at her brother because they found family together, and Captain Cold just threw that away. None of them want normal lives because what's that to them? They just want their own lives. Flash asks, what about her? And Golden Glider flies off laughing, telling him that a girl will never tell. Flash then asks, you wanted to be an ice skater, right? Isn't that what you wanted before becoming a rogue? Couldn't you just go back to that? Glider looks out at the frozen lake, stating that the ice used to represent safety and freedom to her, but now it's danger. Flash tells her that he never did really learn how to ice skate. He was really too busy with his head in a book. Glider flies on, telling him that she'll teach him. He's run on water plenty of times, right? Just focus on the feeling under his feet and stop worrying about the speed force. The Flash decides to do just that, focusing on his feet, focusing on his speed, but not the power it's linked to. And he doesn't explode. He skates faster and faster, stating that he's doing it. He realizes that once he stopped analyzing the speed force and their problems and just let go, it all went away. It's not great, but it's a start. The kids need to see that. Just then, Weather Wizard lands between them, stating that he just received word from his contacts. They know where Mirror Master is and his piece of the mirror. The Speedsters and the Rogues quickly set out to the location that Weather Wizard acquired, and they find themselves standing in front of a frozen over building. Heatwave begins to melt the ice to allow them inside once they get in. Kid Flash looks at all of the mirrors and asks, does Mirror Master love looking at himself, or what? Everyone cautiously walks forward, with Weather Wizard telling them to be ready for anything. Before long, they see the shards floating on a stand before them, and Flash quickly reaches out for them, but as he gets closer, Mirror Master jumps out, punching him, telling him, never thought the Flash of all people would go rogue. Kid Flash and Avery get ready to take off their collars, but Flash yells at them not to do it. Glider then says that it's too perfect for Mirror Master. He knew that they were talking together. This was a trap the whole time. Mirror Master laughs, ha, damn right. He begins to jump in and out of mirrors, pushing everyone inside, and as they fall out, they find themselves surrounded by Captain Cold and his army. Cold tells them, it's so good to see you all again. I had heard the Flash's powers had increased. Mirror Master then tells everyone that he's just as peeved at Len for not sharing the whole Doom in the Sky thing, but hey, the world's ending anyway. Can't they at least go down partying? Captain Cold looks down through his hood, stating that they could have ruled Central City, but instead you've sided with our enemy. Explain yourselves. Glider flies up, telling him that they want things back to the way they were. That was the plan, to use Mirror Master's dimension to change Central City, to make it theirs. But the way he looked at the sigil in the sky, it wasn't right. It was clear to them that he didn't tell them the whole story. He never mentioned that Lex Luthor was bringing the end of the world, and they can't let that happen. That's why she broke the mirror. She made their new world imperfect because she could see that this was the wrong path. Cold stares at her. I knew that you were going to betray me. I'd just hoped that you come tell me why. I would have listened, but now it's too late, sister. Flash then says that it's still time to fix all of those past mistakes. Even the Rogues are telling him that he went too far, and Cold glares at Flash, telling him, I was not talking to you. I was talking to my family. Weather Wizard asks why does he have guns aimed at his family, and Glider says that they know that he's mad at them, at her. But this isn't him. They can go back to before. Cold releases a massive burst of energy, shouting, back when we were losers! Ice pillars quickly begin to form around the area, but as the Flash opens up his eyes, he sees the energy that Cold had released has frozen everyone and everything in sight. Flash asks him how, and Cold pulls down his hood, stating, you've taken my family away, Flash. Flash, meanwhile, is trying to control the Speed Force, with it growing more and more out of control, and he just argues, we both know that's not true. We wanted to help you. Cold takes off his gloves, asking, do you remember back in Iron Heights when we fought one-on-one, man-to-man? No powers. Flash stares as rage builds up, and he tells him, you didn't. Cold goes on, telling him, I lied about what Lex has given me. This is my gift, and now you're not the only supercharged one. Cold takes off his coat, letting the power inhibitors attached to his body overload and cover his arms in ice as he lunges at our overpowered Flash. The first time it happened, it was so fast that no one knew what happened. But the next time, Cold made sure that he was seen. You see, he put on a costume, and he called himself Captain Cold. However, no matter how he dressed up or the weapons that he held, it always ended the same. But not this time. Captain Cold isn't going down a loser again, because today is the day when he finally beats the Flash. He leaps into the air, firing another icy blast, but the Flash runs, narrowly dodging each of the attacks. This would normally end up like any other time that they fought, but today, it's a little different. Neither have these two fought wielding this kind of power. The Flash is running with a supercharged Speed Force, while Captain Cold is using his Absolute Zero technology enhanced by Lex Luthor. The two opposing forces are tearing Central City apart. Is this power what Cold really wanted? The rogues are frozen around them, and if the Flash even thought about freeing them in his current state, he would end up shattering them to pieces. He can't control the Speed Force at these speeds. Cold releases another wave of icy wind, asking, "Don't you love the power?" The Flash zips by, telling him, "I'm surprised the leader of the Rogues would take Luthor's deal, knowing that it meant the end of the world. Or did Lex lie to you too?" Cold shouts, "Lex didn't pull a fast one on me. Open up your eyes. I get to be the monster that I wanted. I get to beat you. I get to become the king of Central City. Lex may have given me the tech and the push, but it was my brains that did the rest. Flash. I'm the one who mastered the Absolute Zero technology. Can't you feel the air?" The truth is, the Flash does feel it, but it's having the opposite effect of what Captain Cold thinks it would do. The cold air is slowing him down, but for the first time in a long time, the Speed Force feels normal. It's not out of control anymore. Cold creates a block of ice around his arms, and he punches the Flash down, yelling for him to pay attention. The Flash gets back up, but he doesn't say anything. He can't beat Cold like this. If he's going to win, he needs to think bigger. With the Speed Force under control for the time being, the Flash races to free everyone from their frozen prisons. As he skids to a stop, he tells Cold, "Don't worry, I wasn't running away. I was just getting some backup." At that moment, the ice shatters around everyone, and everyone focuses their attention on Captain Cold, including the Rogues. He shouts, "No! You will all bow down to King Cold!" And Weather Wizard tells him that they're running out of time. The Flash tells him that they need Mirror Master to fix the mirror now. "I'll keep Cold busy." Kid Flash asks how are they supposed to help when they can't even control their speed, and Avery tells him to just remember what the Rogues taught them. Don't focus on things that they can't control. They just have to breathe in and focus on letting go and run. Kid Flash and Avery quickly run to grab Iris from the Speed Lab, and Iris knows it, that they're in Cold's hideout with the other Rogues. She looks around asking if they're working with the Rogues now, and Kid Flash laughs, telling her that the Rogues helped them learn how to use their powers in this state. They want to help free Central City from this nightmare. Mirror Master folds his arms, stating, "Now everyone, I happen to like things the way they are. Do you know how crazy the parties get when everyone thinks the world is going to end? It is not right to turn our backs on Captain Cold." Heatwave yells, "Listen up. Len is my best friend, and out there, that ain't Len. He's let the power give him the worst case of brain freeze that we've ever seen. Don't forget, Cold froze all of us. And who saved us? The damn Flash." Mirror Master looks at the machine and Glider says, "This isn't the world that we want. I know you only worked with my brother to try and win me back. I know that, but that's never going to happen. We're done. Get over yourself and do the right thing for once, okay?" Mirror Master grits his teeth in frustration, telling her, "Fine. It was fun while it lasted." He throws his shard of the mirror into the machine and completes it, and suddenly, all of Central City reverts back to when Cold took over. Flash looks around, shouting, "Home sweet!" But before he could finish, Cold jumps down, shouting, "You always win! Always! This is far from over, Flash. I'll ice everyone! Just like I did Commander Cold." Glider flies in, telling Cold that he needs to stop this. She'll fight him if she has to. They aren't some crazy superpowered villains. They're thieves, and they don't need to be big time. They're rogues. Cold stops staring for a moment, stating, "My own sister would turn against me. The Flash really is turning my family. You're not gonna win this time." As Cold gets ready for another deep freeze, there's a cracking a boom as the Flash lunges forward, slamming Cold into a pile of debris. The sounds of 100 lightning fists can be heard as the Flash repeatedly punches Cold over and over, yelling, "I am sick of you trying to kill me and my family. You think you're my greatest enemy? You're a joke! A pathetic, cold-hearted waste of life." As Flash continues to beat into Captain Cold, Glider wraps her ribbons around Flash, pulling him off, shouting, "Stop! What is wrong with you?" And Cold's lifeless body falls to the ground. As the Flash watches, he steps back, stating that he doesn't know what happened. And shortly after, the police arrive to bring Cold in, and one of the officers laughs, stating that the Flash did a number on him. The others got away, but Cold is the worst of the bunch. That whole family's rotten to the core. Soon, everyone runs over to congratulate the Flash, but the Flash holds up his hands, stating, "Stop! Don't get close." Kid Flash asks what's wrong, and the Flash turns to the officer, stating, "Wait, the Speed Force is dangerous. I almost killed Captain Cold. Until I learn to control myself, I belong in prison with the rogues." A short while later, Flash and Cold sit handcuffed in the back of the police van, and after a long, awkward silence, Flash tells him, "Beard looks good." To which Cold responds with a very colorful response of what the Flash can go do to himself. The other rogues may have gotten away, but Glider is on her way to Blackgate Prison, even after she helped save the city. Iris took Kid Flash and Avery to Star Lab to try and help them with the supercharged Speed Force and also keep them safe, but for the Flash, he's decided he needs to be put away. Without Iron Heights, the next best place equipped for someone like him is Arkham Asylum. And as their bumpy ride continues, Cold breaks the silence by telling the Flash to stay the hell away from his sister. Flash asks, "What is he talking about? There's nothing going on between me and your sister." And Cold scoffs, "Yeah, I've been around long enough to know what a cop is trying to put the moves on my sister. You may not wear a badge, but I can tell. My dad was a cop too. Real piece of work." Flash says that he knows all about his father, what he was like. Cold laughs, asking, "Is this the part where you tell me that you have a dad like mine, so we can relate? Save it for the shrinks in Arkham." Flash yells that they're nothing alike. He's a criminal. He hurts his family. There's nothing about them that is the same. Cold laughs, telling him to just keep believing that. And Flash lunges in his chains, shouting, "You're a murderer! You killed Commander Cold, and who knows how many others. You crossed that line too many times." Cold leans forward, telling him to take a good hard look at himself. "Did you forget why you're being brought in here too? You almost killed me. What's that say about Mr. Perfect?" The police van hits another bump and Flash asks, "What happened to you? Why'd you take Lex's deal?" Cold asks, "Are you kidding? Being sent to Belle Reve does things to a man. It changes him. I knew exactly what would happen, but it's what one would expect from someone who hates me." The Flash pauses for a moment and collects his thoughts, and then he tells him, "I don't hate you." Soon the brakes squeal as the van comes to a stop and the back hatch opens up. The Arkham officer yells to the two of them to get out. Then as Flash walks out, a familiar voice asks, "Did you really think you were done with the rogues?" Flash looks up, asking, "Pied Piper?" And Piper laughs, "It's been a while, Flash. But now that you're here in Arkham, does that make you a Batman bad guy?" Later, after Kid Flash and Avery are also brought in, Flash asks what he's up to. Piper explains that he's been traveling the world, doing research on different harmonies on the Earth, and when Iris called him, asking for help, well, who wouldn't help the Flash? As the three speedsters stand aside of these machines that Pied Piper has created, he looks at the charts and says that Mina was right. The Speed Force's frequency is way out of sync with their world. The good news is they have a sound gun, one that they hope can hit them with enough frequency from their own reality that it'll ground them back here and fix this old Speed Force problem. The Flash braces himself and tells him to do it. Piper flips the switch. There's a loud humming sound as the Flash begins to scream. He then tells him to hang on, we're almost finished. And after a few seconds, the Flash asks if it worked. He can feel the Speed Force, but it's not chaotic. "Your machine worked, Piper!" Piper tells him not to get too excited. It's not an easy fix, only a temporary one. As long as it doesn't go Super Saiyan again, they shouldn't run the risk of things going crazy. Next up is Kid Flash and Avery, and once everything is all set, Piper hits the switch again. Focusing the sound gun, he hits them both at the same time, and over the humming, Flash can hear a siren. Just then a guard rushes in stating that there's been a breakout. Everyone stay here. And the Flash asks, who was it? Riddler, Two-Face, Scarecrow, or... But before he could even finish, Cold and Glider burst in. Flash asks, what is she doing here? And Glider asks, did you really think that Blackgate could hold me? Flash pleads with her not to do it. Cold is a killer. And she tells him, well, that may be true. Cold is still my family. She hands Cold one of his Cold guns and he freezes the wall, telling him that he told him to stay away from his sister. Flash gets ready to capture the two of them, but Piper tells him that he can't. He's still hooked up to the machine, and if he breaks the connection, Kid Flash and Avery will be trapped out of sync forever. Frustrated and gritting his teeth, Flash calls out to Cold, I will find you! And Cold laughs, telling him, I'm looking forward to it, Flash. So as the machine stops, Flash hurries outside to try and chase them, but he finds nothing. With the Speedster's powers now manageable, everyone goes back to their normal lives. Kid Flash is out with his friends. Avery is back in China, and Flash, well, he's spending some much-needed time with Iris. But before the two of them could settle in, there's a loud crack! And in the blink of an eye, Old Man Flash from Year One appears, calling out to his younger self. Iris jumps up, asking if that's him, and Flash says, yeah, sort of, but from the future? But that should have changed. I changed the future. Old Man Flash tells him that he did. When he beat Turtle, time was changed so that they could live their lives without the loop. Everything was safe, but they were wrong. His skin begins to deteriorate and he yells that they shouldn't have broken the loop. They created a paradox. He needs to speak with Commander Cold. Flash tells him that it's not possible. Commander Cold is dead. And Old Man Flash's skin begins to peel away as he tells them, "It's too late then. They made me, and now Paradox is coming for you and our legacy. There's only one thing left to do, Flash. Run!" And with that, Old Man Flash withers away to nothing. And Iris asks, who is Paradox?
His name is Barry Allen. People call him the Flash. A hero, a paragon of hope of Central City. But some see the Flash as, well, something else. Our story begins years ago in the middle of the street when an out-of-costume Flash bumped into a man playing with his kids outside. That act, it resulted in Chris staying a little bit longer to play, which, when it began to rain, forced everyone to get back inside. That rain made Chris think of the idea for his cosmic scope, which was something that everything, including his family, had a hard time understanding. See, Chris was a scientist. Most scientists like him would build telescopes to study the stars, or hope to find new life in the deep beyond of space. Chris, though, he built one to gaze into the borders of time. He believed that there were other universes, alternate realities, and timelines. But the real secret was that reality shifted around them because of changes in time, and, well, they just can't see it. He dedicated years of his life to finding proof of this concept, but Chris wanted more than proof. After changing some of the settings on the cosmic scope, lightning struck and it electrified all of Chris's equipment. And in the blink of an eye, Chris would see it. He was right. Time was so much bigger than he had hoped. It was like he had witnessed the hand of God pulling back the curtains on the multiverse, and for a brief moment, he could feel the power of their timeline. But then, it passed. Chris would work day and night trying to replicate what had happened that night. He would even ignore everything else around him, and this included his family. One day there was a battle, and the Flash was battling against a man calling himself King Turtle, who had come from the future. Chris and his family happened to be out that night, and they were right next to the fight. And as the two of them fought, the Flash and King Turtle, Chris could see the multiversal energy surrounding them, and he needed to feel that energy again. Well, what he did this time was different. You see, Chris could see the Flash pull all of time forward with him, and while time skipped, Chris didn't. He could feel himself being pulled out of existence. He discovered that he was out of sync with the timeline. He no longer belonged in that timeline, and so he was banished. But he wasn't alone. Others got too close to that fight as well, and something happened. So now Chris, along with 3 other people, found themselves in a place that didn't really exist. They were outside of the timelines, and they all walked towards a large mountain with a building on it. It felt like an eternity, but they were also there in an instant. They did not need to eat or drink or sleep, they just were. The others tried to find comfort, hoping together that they'd be able to get out of all of this, but Chris kept to himself, alone with his thoughts. For so long, his obsession was the design of time and space when it should have been his family, and now getting back to him because of his new obsession. As everyone traveled, they learned that they weren't the other ones. Others had been here. As for why, no one knew how they had all ended up in this space between the time periods. And seeing all of the stuff scattered around allowed Chris to build a new lab. One where he would be able to live and study the time stream again. While Chris worked, he could feel the energy during the lightning storm alter his mind and body to be more, to become attuned with the multiverse. The others, though, they were not as lucky. After a while, Chris learned how to leave this place. He just needed to build a lightning rod. Once they all placed their hands on it, it would set them free, and as that lightning cracked, everyone could see time itself. And there was something in a constant state of change, manipulated by outside forces, played like a game for years, pieces that were moved in a way that hurt people. And every time it changed, it hurt Chris. He needed to share that pain to unlock the truth of what had created him. When it came to changing the flow of time, no one was more guilty than the Flash. Always running forward, past all the warnings that he shouldn't be doing this, never looking back at the lives that he crushed under his foot with each change in the timeline. The others, well, they weren't as fortunate as Chris to be so attuned to the multiverse, and their sacrifice was needed. Chris could see the Flash's history before him, along with the knowledge of the multiverse. But Chris knew that there was something else more important. He still needed to get back to his family. However, when he saw his family, he was expecting sadness, and instead they had found happiness without Chris. The traces of the Speed Force in this realm powered a door, and stepping through this would hurt him, but it could be worth it. So he walked through the portal, calling out to his family, but what came out wasn't Chris. It was something else. His wife jumped to protect their children, shouting at Chris to get away, not recognizing the monster before them. He tried to plead with her, to tell her that it was him, but she wouldn't listen. He told himself that it was a mistake for him to go back, to even think about going back. And so, Chris went back into the portal, diving back into the time stream, unsure of where or when he would end up. Soon he felt himself land. Maybe this would be his new home, an opportunity for a second chance. But where he ended up, he wasn't welcome. Some people called the Order of the Time Institute wanted to arrest him. So he held at his arms to try and reason with the people, but then an unstoppable force shot out, completely decimating everything in front of him. Along with the changes to his body, he had also acquired powers. He could take what he wanted, not go back home and be the man that he once was, but rule where he was now. And even in this future, he saw people celebrating the Flash. No one saw him for what he was, a devil. Things were so twisted that even the Flash's arch enemy, the Reverse Flash, had honored and worshipped him. Eobard Thawne tried so much to be the Flash that it drove him mad, and yet here he was in the 25th century trying to be a hero. This enraged Chris in ways that he never thought possible. In the current timeline, August Hart, Godspeed, asks, "So, you fought the Reverse Flash?" And Chris tells him yes, and he lost. Not only is Eobard Thawne an expert on the Flash and his legacy, but he is a master of time travel and time manipulation. The Time Institute worked with the Reverse Flash and the Renegades to construct a prison that would hold his power. He was held captive here for years, feeling excruciating pain whenever the time was altered. It made him aware that he needed to be present when time changed to absorb the energy created by every paradox. When the Flash family broke the force barrier, well, it caused a chain reaction that reverberated all the way to him, damaging Iron Heights enough that he could escape. It is time for the Flash to pay for what he has done to the time stream. Then the multiverse will see the monster that the Flash truly is.
With the end of the Rogue's reign, Central City slowly begins to go back to the way it was, allowing everyone to return to their lives. Friorza and Steadfast went back to investigate the Strength and Still forces on their own. Kid Flash is back to being a kid with Teen Titans, and Avery went back to China. But there's one thing that the Flash couldn't wrap his head around. At the end of everything, Future Flash appeared and said with his dying breath that the villain known as Paradox is coming. So the next question is, who is Paradox? However, at this moment, the Flash has other things to focus on, like taking things slow with Iris. While the relationship with Iris is finally getting back on track, the two are no closer to finding out who Paradox is than the night the Future Flash died. But before being able to come up with a lead, Flash receives a message from Director Singh asking for his help with a crime scene. Iris folds her arms asking, "What are you waiting for? Go, Barry." It's been a long time since the Flash worked a crime scene in Central City. In fact, it's been a full year since he picked up his CSI bag. As he arrives as Barry Allen, Singh tells him that he's a bit short-handed and needed a little help. Might as well call in the best, right? Problem is, the guys have already combed through everything. The family-owned antique shop was broken into and a series of expensive paintings were taken. There is no evidence or clues. The Flash puts on his gloves, telling him that he shouldn't be so hard on himself. They all have bad days, but there is always evidence. Always, Director Singh. The Flash picks up a small shard of glass, translucent with a rainbow tint. A short while later, back at the lab, Flash and Singh get back to work processing that shard, and Singh laughs, stating that it must be nice. Being able to take time away from the crime scenes, to find life outside of the lab, to slow down and do more than the job. The Flash laughs with him and tells him, "Right, sure." But as the Flash flips through the findings, he tells Singh that it looks like they got them. Take a look at this. Singh looks at the shard under the microscope, asking what exactly is he looking at. It looks like a rainbow. And within that time frame, the Flash runs out of the office and back in before Singh notices, just in time for an officer to run in shouting to Singh that he's needed downstairs. The Flash just dropped off the Rainbow Raider, caught him red-handed with the paintings from the antique store. Singh scratches his head, stating that he is thankful for the Flash's help, but without hard evidence, they won't get a conviction. And the Flash tells him that he also found some blood and fiber samples on that broken glass. It looks like the Rainbow Raider cut himself during the break-in. As the officers and Singh leave, Singh sees Iris walking in, stating that her boyfriend is a genius. She sets down her bag, asking what did her genius of a boyfriend do? The Flash laughs, stating that he helped convict the Rainbow Raider. Iris then asks, isn't he kind of small time? And the Flash tells her that no case is too small. Everyone deserves justice. But as the Flash looks down, he notices Iris's notepad and asks, what is that? The Flash was there for me. As he reads, it contains stories from dozens of people. It's the citizens of Central City and their interactions with Flash and how he's always been there for them when he was needed. He is a man who gave them hope. He is the one that inspires them because the Flash is a legend. The Flash rubs his head asking what is this, and Iris tells him that it's an article that she's been working on. She's been interviewing people all over the city about how they see the Flash. Everyone sees the hero that the Flash is, but no one has mentioned the man. They don't know how human he is. The Flash sighs, telling her that for the past year, he's heard a voice in his head telling him that he isn't good enough. And after everything that happened with the Rogues and Wally, he just wants to be the hero that people see him as. Iris tells him to stop. No more emo Barry. You are a hero. Well, you aren't dead yet, so maybe there's some hope to that. But before the two of them could go any further, there's a crack-a-boom! And Godspeed races in. Hey, Barry. Long time no see. Flash asks him, what are you doing here? And Godspeed tells him, I came to tell you, stop looking for Paradox. Just drop the case, Barry. Stay as far away from Paradox as possible. Godspeed rushes back out, but Flash pulls out his ring, telling Iris, call Kid Flash and get back to the Speed Lab. He begins to chase Godspeed all the way to the Flash Museum, asking, what is this about? You know something. Godspeed skids to a stop, telling him, I had no choice. Paradox knows who killed my brother, Barry. And the Flash asks, who does? Who is Paradox? And a distorted voice asks, what kind of a man has a museum built in his own honor, especially when he is still alive? It's fascinating how the world sees the Flash, how they worship the Flash, how they claim to be inspired by the Flash. But that's because they don't know the truth, do they, Flash? The Flash is a man who travels to other realities with little concern to the ramifications. A careless scourge on the multiverse who is followed by crisis, racing through your life, always moving forward, but never looking back to see what horrors you left in your wake. You hurt people, your friends, your family, whole worlds with your actions. The true legend of the Flash is one of nightmares. It is time for you to pay for your crimes, Flash. Paradox continues to channel his energy, going on to tell the Flash, when you faced the Turtle, you were warned that changing time would create a paradox, and yet you did it anyway. The Flash's eyes go wide. You're the one that the future Flash warned me about. You're Paradox. Paradox tells him, I am here to offer you an option, a choice of punishment. Give up being the Flash or watch everything that you have built up destroyed. The Flash asks, was it the same deal that you offered Future Flash before you killed him? Godspeed asks, what Future Flash, Barry? And Paradox goes on, I needed to purge his influence from the timeline. The age of Flash must end. Paradox looks at Godspeed asking, if you truly want to prove your worth, that you are ready to be redeemed, kill the Flash. The Flash readies himself to fight and he tells Godspeed, we don't have to do this. And Godspeed preps for the battle. Yes, yes we do. Live. Now he sits on the Mobius chair, imbued with the powers of a chair, and have sat on the chair before. His speed powers allow him to process the information. The meeting of Barry Allen, the joining of the Teen Titans, the time that he once took the Flash mantle before Barry died in the first crisis. Then, Wally West married Linda. They had 2 beautiful twins, and it was all ripped away. Everything that he ever loved was erased from time by an atomic god. When he was found, he tried to find peace, a place to heal, but that ended horribly, with dead heroes' blood on his hands. However, he is imbued with the power of the same atomic god who once wiped him from reality. So they all reveal themselves to him. New gods and those who would wish to be gods meet their doomsday, trying to reach the power that Wally wields. But right now, as Wally is watching time unfold, it changes. And how is that even possible? The Justice Society and the Legion of Superheroes, they both reappear in the timeline. Moments and memories that were once erased are returning to DC's timeline. But time and reality are not fixed, they are only adjusted. This needs investigating. How is this new version of reality any different than the previous one? The day that he met Barry Allen, the day that he became Kid Flash, these are right, but they are also wrong. The same event happening twice, but both are unique. This is not the only anomaly, even from his own past. Wally could see the formation of the Teen Titans, and then years later, the Teen Titans form again. But this is a separate and different group with no memory of the previous incarnation. Different worlds and dimensions would explain that, but this is not that. This is the same event repeating on the same world at a different time. Worlds across the multiverse that exist side by side. Small changes in events creating Elseworlds, sometimes radically different and sometimes startlingly similar to their own. Somehow that changed. Time and reality inside their world was fractured, broken, and begun to crumble. Time no longer aligns for Wally. As Wally tries to understand what is happening, the Fugonaut Tempest appears, asking how is it even possible, and Wally asks him to look around at the universe and speak of what he sees. Tempest tells him that everything is as it is: noble sacrifices, love and affirmation, suspicion, trust, transformations. What is it that Wally West can see that Tempest Fugonaut cannot? And Wally tells him that he sees everything. Time, space, reality. It is all broken, all at a risk of collapsing. And Tempest asks if he can stop it. Can he reverse the damage that has been done? And Wally sits up in the chair, stating that his name is Wally West. He is the fastest man alive, and now he sits upon the Mobius chair. The power of a god races through him. So, yeah, he's got this. It all began a few years ago when I was an undercover cop working with a crew of bank robbers. We finally had enough to book them, so I rushed in to get the bad guys, except they weren't prepared. In that moment, all I could do was hope that my body took enough bullets to save the guys behind me. But that's when a miracle happened, Barry. The bullets fell to the ground, and right in front of me was the Flash, and before I could even thank you, you were gone. Outside of the Flash Museum, as the Flash is battling against Godspeed, Flash dodges another swing from him, asking, "Why are you telling me this now?" Godspeed tells him, "Because that's how I remembered the Flash. A miracle. But not anymore." The Flash begins to get ahead of him, asking, "Why are you doing this?" And Godspeed yells, "I'm just following orders. There's no way that we're talking this one out, Barry." But while Paradox is watching the Flash and Godspeed run throughout the city, Iris quietly sneaks into the Speed Labs and realizes that this Paradox is who the old Flash warned them about. Maybe Commander Cold left something behind that could help them. Just as Iris accesses the computer and types in Paradox's name, a hologram recording of Commander Cold appears. He tells them, "Yeah, if you're seeing this, one of two things happened. Either I'm dead or I found my way back to the 25th century. I really hope that it's not the dead thing, because that would be a bummer. I left behind something that I normally wouldn't have, but in case of an emergency, I was going to trust that one day you would do the right thing. Inside of this terminal is all the information regarding all future cases that will ever happen. Knowledge of the future is forbidden, but maybe you guys can use it for something good." Iris asks the hologram to access the files on Paradox, and Commander Cold's hologram tells them, "One moment." And after a brief moment, throughout time, there has only been one person who has ever defeated Paradox, and his name is... Iris looks at the screen, stating, "No, oh no, not him!" Back outside, the run through the city brings the Flash and Godspeed back to the museum, where the Flash asks Paradox, "Why are we going through all of this? If you want me, you can get me. You don't need Godspeed to do your dirty work." Paradox tells him, "The Flash legacy must pay for its crimes. Godspeed understands this. The so-called fastest man alive is a monster who brings horror to reality. Creating the Flashpoint alone ruined the timeline, Flash. For the multiverse to be safe of you, part of the plan. Whenever a change in the timeline happens, it releases a bit of crisis energy, which I can absorb to become the god of the multiverse. Erasing the Flash. Be damned." Godspeed laughs. "There it is! Revenge and a power grab. Got it. I knew all of this was a bunch of BS. Damn right. I was a cop for 5 years. I knew that Paradox was lying. I just needed to play, slamming him down, telling him, I have witnessed all of the Flash's history. Useless. Paradox casually walks through the attempted attacks, telling him, I was there from the beginning. I watched while the Flash was on the edge of defeat, but you refused to let Turtle crush that noble spirit. And when things appeared most dire, the Flash's thing from me, including my family. The Flash stops. No way you can beat him! Flash looks back at the museum asking, are you inside? What it took to beat him in the 25th century. The only one who ever stopped him was the Reverse Flash. As Flash tries to process Eobard as a savior, Paradox picks him up, throwing him into the side of the building, telling him, there have been Flashes that came before you, some even after you, but you are the one most written about. Why are you the one worthy of the myth? It's because you died. Paradox swats back the Flash again, grabbing him by the throat, throwing him to the ground, telling him, you are the great savior energy, and hits the Flash with it, ripping him apart, telling him, you should have stayed dead! And as the Flash begins to fade away into nothing, Paradox reaches down, grabs you, and he tosses him before the cosmic treadmill. But elsewhere, the Flash opens his eyes, and he wakes up in a grassy field asking, where am I? He tries reaching out for, when he looks back, his eyes go wide. His mother, Nora, is telling him that he doesn't— where are we? Where's Paradox? There are so many people who could get hurt, but Nora tells him, it's okay. Your days of fighting are over. We're together now. I will get to see the man that you've become, but for a giant statue of him. Nora asks if he remembers how people built a museum for him to Flash City, a place where those he has saved gather to pay respects to the hero. Tells him that he doesn't have to explain. They know the story already. They all do. He begins touching the surroundings, stating that this is also wonderful. And Nora tells him that it's time for him to stop. Not real. And neither are you. She stops. What are you talking about? And the Flash tells her, this whole world is a giant construct of some kind. I'm not sure if it's in my head or some very complicated illusion. But the reason I know this is because every world in the multiverse has its own vibrational frequency, except this one. This has none. I've been dead before. I've been to the other side of the Speed Force, but this ain't it. Nora tries to say something, and then she glares, telling him, fine. You should have been honored by what Paradox built for you. You're the Flash, and he quickly dodges them, keeping them at bay, stating, I could have stayed in this heaven, but Paradox is still out there. And for Paradox to mess with me enough to build this, to use the memory of my mother, he's gonna pay. The Flash begins to gather his energy, and Nora asks, what is he doing? The Flash tells her that this illusion doesn't have a vibration, so he's gonna give it one. He releases his energy and he tears through the machine that his body is suspended in, falling to the ground. He gets up, looking around at the barren wastelands, asking, where is this place? Where is Paradox? He quickly runs around the area, finding bodies. And he says that he seems that he wasn't the first person that Paradox trapped here. He then sees a building, so he runs forward, lightning striking, pushing him to his knees in pain. He can feel his energy being sucked out of him, and he thinks it back to what he remembers of Paradox. He was wearing armor, not to enhance his powers. Maybe it was because his exposure to this hell. If he lets this go on any longer, he's going to end up like the others. He quickly gets up and starts to collect the pieces of the machines scattered about, taking each of them and fashioning himself a suit of armor able to withstand the overwhelming pressure of these wastes. He needs to get back to Central City, but how? He runs around collecting more parts, and then he stops to access one of the still functional terminals nearby. He accesses the files on Eobard Thawne and all the different times that he died. Finding Eobard Thawne, based on what Iris told him, isn't going to be easy. It's not a matter of where he is, it's a matter of when. After setting up the last few pieces, Flash looks down at the treadmill that he built and he puts one foot on it. He begins to put the rest of himself on it and slowly begins to run, telling himself that time travel is dangerous, but he needs to find Eobard. Pulling him from any random point in time is risky. He can't create another Paradox, or worse, another Flashpoint. He's always known one moment where Eobard is always. He knows where he can find him. The night that Eobard Thawne murdered his mother. Back in the present day, Paradox tells Godspeed that the time for his redemption has come. It's time for you to run! Chained up, Godspeed pauses for a moment, but Paradox hits him with a blast of energy, telling him now. Godspeed shouts out in pain and he gets back up and begins to run on the treadmill. And as the world around them changes, It goes back to a few weeks before when Flash fought the augmented Captain Cold. Paradox looks around stating, "This isn't as far back as I had hoped." Flash and Cold stop and Flash sees Godspeed and he asks, "What's going on?" Cold turns his attention on Paradox, telling him, "I don't care who you are. Central City belongs to me." Paradox holds up his hand and begins to disintegrate Cold, telling him, "We have no issues, but you will not stand in my way." Flash begins to run for Cold, but he's stopped as Paradox begins to disintegrate him and absorb his energy. Godspeed yells out, "No! Not again! Why are you doing this?" And Paradox basks in his newly acquired power, stating, "With each death, a new paradox is created, thus giving me more power. Now go back further in time! Run, Godspeed! Run!" Meanwhile, in the middle of the actual time stream, the Flash is focusing on a set point in time and he quickly stops the treadmill, stopping the world around him. He came back here once before to stop Eobard, and that created the Flashpoint. It caused so many problems. It's not being able to save her. There's nothing he can do except wait. So he stands outside of a house and he waits for the inevitable moment. Nora Allen cries for help and then nothing. He clenches his fist, restraining himself from running in, and suddenly Eobard runs out, slamming him into a tree, telling him, My! This is a plot twist! But you're too late! Your mother is already dead, Flash!" Flash fights Eobard back, telling him, "I'm not here to save her. I'm here because of Paradox." He begins to repeatedly punch Eobard in the head, telling him, "You're gonna tell me everything about Paradox, including how we stop him." And Eobard catches a punch, asking him, "Wait, Paradox escaped?" A bolt of lightning strikes, separating the two of them, and Eobard says, "That's a temporal shift. That's because you've been traveling through time like a rookie again." The two go back to fighting, and Eobard pins Flash down, telling him, "There's only one way to stop Paradox." And Flash pushes him back, telling him, "I'm not doing it." Eobard yells, "You're gonna have to face it, sooner or later. You know what needs to be done, Barry. We need to team up, side by side, to save the multiverse, as it always should have been. So what do you say, Flash? Truce?"
Just currently holding Eobard Thawne, as Eobard Thawne explains what happened in the 25th century multiverse. All who tried to take on Paradox fell in his path, and it seemed as if they were on the line to save others, and in the end, that hero was Reverse Flash. He defeats Flash Museum, and with it a prison that could hold even Paradox from ever escaping. The time stream was safe, until Barry Allen ruined it all. Paradox being free is the worst thing that could have ever happened. Reality can't take much more of Paradox's destruction on the time stream. And the Flash asks him, "But you can stop him, right?" And Eobard says, "That's a Reverse Flash fact, good buddy." The two stop running through the time stream and they stop in the 25th century Flash Museum, with Eobard stating that he had to pick something up first. Once they get inside, Eobard pulls a tarp off of a display case containing his own lightning rod. Eobard picks it up, twirling it around, stating that this thing can harness the Speed Force and focus it into a destructive force. "This is how we stop Paradox. This is how we save the time stream. The last time I used it to ground him and sap that Paradox energy until he was weak enough to be captured." Eobard then turns to the Flash, asking, "Are you ready to do what needs to be done, Barry?" Meanwhile, in the other timelines, Paradox continues going further and further in time, killing the Flash over and over again. But during one of those times, he stops for a moment and says that he can sense something. He can feel the Flash, and he's not alone. Curious. Back with the Flash, he and Eobard stop outside of an apartment building with a man playing ball with his kids. Eobard asks Flash if he sees the family over there. That man is Paradox before he became Paradox, before he was tied to the Flash legacy. Flash stops, asking, "Why are we here?" And Eobard laughs. "You're a bright boy. You should already know the answer to that. We're going to kill him." Flash grabs Eobard, but Eobard pulls back, yelling, "If you want to save reality, then you gotta do what needs to be done. This will remove Paradox from his role before he can even get started, before he can just escape again. It'll be our little secret, something we can share. Just the two of us, Flash." Eobard pokes Flash with the lightning rod, telling him, "You know it's the right thing to do. It's the only thing." Flash tells him, "No, we'll find another way, Eobard." And in a fit of rage, Eobard shouts, "Fine, I'll do it myself." Flash punches Eobard, shouting that this was a mistake. And the man Chris yells, asking what do they want from him? Why are they here? At that moment, Paradox appears and begins to kill him, telling him,
"They wanted you to die."
After Chris's body disintegrates, Paradox tells him,
"I thought killing the Flash would create the power that I needed, but you just led me to the biggest paradox of all, myself."
Eobard charges in with his rod, shouting,
"It doesn't matter! I took you down once and I'll do it again!"
Paradox catches Eobard by the throat, taking the rod, telling him,
"Please, don't embarrass yourself."
Paradox tosses him away, snapping the lightning rod in half, yelling,
"I have all the power that I could ever want."
Flash runs over to help Eobard up, asking, "Paradox, what has he done?" Paradox begins to absorb the crisis energy, stating,
"I have witnessed that no matter how many of the Flash's greatest moments I have undone, the multiverse still thinks of you as a hero. And right now, the only way to stop that is to kill everyone who ever loved the Flash."
A burst of energy erupts from Paradox as he begins to tear reality apart. And Flash asks, "What are you doing?" Eobard tells him, "What do you think?" Paradox just unleashed all of the Paradox energy that he built up.
"He's erasing the time stream, Barry."
Paradox then towers over the two of them, telling him,
"Time belongs to me now."
Flash and Eobard inch back, and Eobard says,
"Paradox has become way too powerful. We've literally run out of time, Barry. If we don't kill him right now, he'll end everything."
With all reality being destroyed, Eobard says that Paradox has the power of a god right now. All hope is lost. They need to go. Flash yells, "I'm not going anywhere without Godspeed." And Godspeed tells him, "I didn't want to help Paradox kill all those versions of you. I'm so sorry." But before they can come up with a plan, Reverse Flash, Flash, and Godspeed all dissolve and then reappear in another realm. Eobard looks around asking where is this, and Godspeed tells him, "This is Paradox's other realm, just outside of known reality. A forgotten place." Flash grabs Eobard asking, "What did you do?" And Eobard shouts, "You are really going to blame me for this?
We were supposed to kill Paradox, but he was still human."
Godspeed then gets up, separating the two of them, stating, "You can kill each other another day. Look in the sky, guys!" Up above, all of the different timelines that Paradox has affected appear, and Eobard says,
"It's a time storm. This all makes sense now. Look, I've mastered the art of manipulating time. It takes skill and experience, which Paradox has none. We can still stop him, because we haven't faded into nothing. That means we have a shot."
Flash asks, "What do we do? How do we save everyone?" And Eobard tells him,
"You know what we have to do. You just refuse to admit it."
Just then, Paradox appears, telling them all,
"It's too late. I have won. The legend of the Flash is erased from your world, and now I will move on to the multiverse. Once I do that, the secrets of the multiverse will belong to me."
Flash shouts, asking, "You did all of this so you could learn about the multiverse?" And Paradox tells him,
"No, it was about you. I used to be trapped in this hell. I lost my family because of the Flash. The Flash never cared about anyone. All he ever did was care about himself."
Eobard scoffs,
"You don't know the Flash very well then. I've tried everything to break Barry, yet no matter what, the Flash is always there, running to save others. It's annoying, really."
Godspeed then chimes in, "Yeah, no matter my sins, no matter how horrible my crimes, Barry has always been there to help me. He'd give his own life to help people." And Paradox laughs,
"This is who the Flash has come to his rescue? His enemies? It doesn't matter anymore. The Flash Age ends now."
Paradox slams onto the ground, knocking everyone back, and Eobard says,
"Hey, if we're gonna save the day, we gotta kill Paradox."
And Godspeed tells him, "I hate to admit it, but I agree with Reverse Flash on this one, Barry." The Flash gets up, running back over. "No, there has to be another way. If I could fix this, as in really fix this, then we need to do it my way. Can I trust you all to do the right thing?" Without a word, Eobard runs off, and Godspeed says, "Man, I really hope that was a yes." While Flash and Godspeed focus on keeping Paradox busy, Eobard runs back in time to where it all began, where Paradox watched the Flash fight Turtle. Eobard looks at Paradox in his human form, telling him,
"I could kill him right here, right now. I could end this. I could save his life and the lives of others. The choice is easy. What would the Flash do?"
Back in Paradox's realm, his power begins to disperse, and he begins to ask,
What? What is happening?"
And meanwhile, in the past, Eobard touches Paradox, telling him that he's welcome.
"You have the gift of life with your family. Make sure that you use it well."
Paradox's power grows unstable, and he lunges at the Flash, shouting,
"I will not be erased. The Flash Age must end. I will prove that the Flash is a monster. But before Paradox could commit his attack, his body breaks apart and disappears. Godspeed asks what do they do now, and at that moment Paradox's realm begins to rip apart, with Barry yelling that they need to run. With the pull of the collapsing realm, Barry says that they need to find a way to escape, but without the cosmic treadmill. And at that moment Eobard appears telling him, I thought the Flash is supposed to be hopeful. If the three of us run together, the negative speed force combined with the positive should be enough to free us. The three start to run as hard as they can, running past all of the timelines that Paradox destroyed, slowly seeing them being put back together. And with a crack-a-boom, the three of them appear outside of the present-day Flash Museum. Godspeed looks around stating that this is right after they fought. Time hasn't rewritten itself. Holy crap, we did it, guys! Eobard walks off, telling them, that was a good team-up. I'll see you guys later. Godspeed grabs Eobard, telling him, hey, not so fast. And Eobard asks, after all of that, didn't I get a little trust? Flash runs to see Iris, and Eobard looks back stating, too bad neither of us are going to get a statue. And Godspeed tells him, speak for yourself. I'm gonna get one day. But you're from the future. You know everything about the Flash history. Do you know who killed my brother? Eobard turns back, grabbing Godspeed by the neck. Oh, that? That was me. I did it. Before Godspeed has a chance to react, Eobard pulls and there's a loud snap. He then lets go, stating, no one will remember Godspeed. I have seen the future. Flash runs back asking, what have you done? We trusted you. And Eobard laughs. Paradox was after the wrong monster, huh? And Flash shouts, I am gonna kill you. But Eobard pummels the Flash, telling him, you already did, remember? Instead, I'm going to do what I always should have done. Something horrible happens, you gather up the Flash family, and then the Flash family runs into a triumphant line chasing me. But now I'm ahead. It's time to get some things in the works. I'm gonna get my own family. The Reverse Flash family!
Barry can hear it whenever he closes his eyes. The loud snap. It was like he was out of options, and the only thing that he could do to finally stop Eobard was to end him. That was the point of no return between him and Eobard, their destiny forever in a loop of death and a rebirth. Eobard's mission was to make the Flash's life a living hell, and now he is back, and he is free, and it's all Barry's fault. Eobard could be anywhere, any when, but while the Flash frantically searches the globe over and over again, he remembers that he was supposed to be spending the evening with Iris, Kid Flash, and Avery. As Flash runs into Iris's house, he says that he's sorry, and he finds the kids already asleep. He lets out a sigh as he takes off his mask, and Iris tells him not to worry. They knew that he wanted to be here. He sits down in the kitchen, telling them that he looked everywhere, but after Eobard killed Godspeed, he said that he planned for this, that there was one small detail that was still missing. Iris tells him that he doesn't know that. The only thing that he needs right now is to eat, even if it's cold. So the Flash uses his powers to heat up the plate of spaghetti, and he begins to speed eat, realizing how hungry he really is. It's at that moment that Kid Flash and Avery stumble in, and the positivity from the kids telling the Flash that he can do this gives him hope, even if it's just for the night. So the next day, the Flash heads into work, where Director Singh hands him a stack of files stating that they have a mountain of evidence that needs Barry Allen's eye. But before he even can go into his office, there's a kid yelling out that his dad didn't do it. Barry asks who that is, and Singh tells him that it's the kid from the Heather Macy case. The kid's mother was killed by the father, and the trial's verdict came back today. It's a death sentence. So the Flash asks what happened, and they tell him that the guy confessed, case closed. So he begins to ask, well, what evidence do we have that states that the guy did it? And they tell him that they don't need evidence because they have a confession. So the Flash goes to his lab and does the Barry Allen thing, processing the evidence. And he realizes that it's all inconclusive, and he wonders how he didn't look at this himself. How did he not go into this? How did a case involving a father killing his mother slip by him? And he realizes it's because it's the night that Wally returned from the Speed Force. So he runs out of the office and down to the scene of the crime, looking for something that could have been overlooked because something didn't seem right. He uses the scanner that Batman gave him to track Speed Force signatures, and the easy thing about Eobard Thawne is that the negative Speed Force gives off a unique signature, which of course Flash's hunch was right. Eobard Thawne was there. He was playing this game for a long time. Flash runs back to his house to get his costume when Singh calls him asking where he went. He explains that he was looking into the Heather Macy case, but Singh tells him that it's over. And that's when he stops, yelling out, "Oh my god, the turtle is outside!" The call ends with the Flash wondering how that is even possible, but then over the police channels, another attack at 5th and Washington comes through. Flash realizes very quickly that is his apartment, and is currently being attacked by the Trickster. The third call comes in asking for assistance at Star Labs. They're under attack by Captain Cold and Golden Glider. The Flash pauses, realizing that 2 attacks could have been a coincidence, but 3? A 4th one comes in, this time at the Flash Museum, and it's Gorilla Grodd. So Flash runs back to Iris' house, grabbing her and the kids, and takes them outside of the city, stating that Central City is under attack. Trickster, Grodd, Turtle, Cold, and Glider are attacking places related to him. It has to be Reverse Flash. Iris asks if this is what Thawne wanted. Thawne is attacking his life at every front, so you'd second guess yourself. You need to run! Damn it, Barry! Run! Kid Flash, Flash, and Avery all run back to all of the places affected by the attacks, trying to help wherever they can. The Flash brings food to those that were attacked at the Flash Museum, but he knows that it's an empty gesture. Pizza is nice, but it doesn't take away the trauma that those people felt while they were under attack. They don't say it, but in their eyes, they all ask the same question. Where were you, Flash? Meanwhile, elsewhere, Cold is telling the rest of the villains that he is getting a bad feeling about this. First, we're all plucked out of time. Second, we're all hiding under the streets of Central City after an attack of that size. We should be getting the hell out of Dodge. Grodd tells him, "I will not run. It is my birthright to destroy the Flash and steal his speed. If this is how it happens, so be it, even if it means consorting with such weak humans." Turtle looks back, telling them, "Monkey could not handle speed." Grodd leans in and snarls, and Cold fires a freeze blast, separating them, telling them, "You guys need to chill out." Everyone begins to argue, but Trickster yells over everyone, "Am I the only one that feels lied to here?" Reverse Flash has been keeping us in the dark about everything. He pulled us out of time to attack Central City, and then what? Chill? Hang out? No! We should be out there having fun! So why are we waiting on orders from a wannabe Flash? We don't even know his plan. Just then, Reverse Flash runs in, grabbing Trickster, telling him, "You need to wait. Patience is a virtue." Cold looks at him, telling him, "Oh, we'll wait. Whatever. But what if the Flash finds us?" Eobard tells him, "The Flash will find you. It's not a question of if, it's when. But don't forget, we have a secret weapon." Later, Flash looks for clues at his old childhood home, thinking that maybe there's something there. Maybe Eobard knew he'd come here. And as he notices a Flash comic on the ground, he hears a voice stating, "Oh wow, look how young he is, sis." Flash turns back to see the Tornado Twins there, with the sister Dawn stating, "Hi, Daddy-O." Flash asks, "Who are?" Oh no. A second later, Flash is blasted out of the house, and he catches himself yelling, "Wait, you gotta hear me out! I saw what happened to you in the future. I know that you're my kids, and I'm so sorry." Dawn says that it looks like Daddy remembers them, and Dawn says, "Yeah, but he doesn't really remember us. He told Mother that the 1 month he spent in the 30th century with her was full of hope and happiness. But then our deadbeat dad returned from the dead, and did he ever come back to check on us? No! Uncle Eobard came and saved Turtle." Just then Eobard walks up, telling everyone that a lifetime ago he tried to beat of a dead man. "No matter what I did, it was never really me. And it's time to see. I can do some fantastic things. Now hold still. This is going to hurt a lot." He begins to vibrate into the Flash, but he doesn't pass through. Flash begins to scream while everyone watches horrified, and Dawn asks, "Is everything okay?" Flash stands up, but Eobard speaks through his body. "Oh, everything is fine, 'cause I'm the Flash." Cold tells him, "That wasn't the deal. We were supposed to remove Flash from getting in our way." And Grodd yells, "And I was supposed to receive the knowledge of the future." Eobard tells them, "Oh, you're gonna get all of that and more. But first, I have a family to take care of." Inside Flash's mental subconsciousness, he's floating around asking, "Where is this? This isn't the Speed Force. My speed is gone. I can't run." And just then a blue streak hits him, and a red streak follows suit. The Flash rubs his face, looking up to see twisted versions of Jesse Quick and Max Mercury yelling, "You have a lot to answer for, Barry! Run!" Elsewhere, Eobard is running through Asbury doing things that, well, Barry would normally do. Save a kitten from a tree, save a baby from a burning building, stop dozens of bullets before they hit anyone. This is what he wanted. This is what he needed. So he can do the things that the old Barry wouldn't do. Later over in New Mexico, he runs up to the Young Justice team telling Impulse, "It's time we had a little chat." Eobard pulls him away, with Impulse yelling, "Oh my god, Grandpa Flash! Barry, Flash!" Eobard leans in telling him, "Come on, we have something that we need to do. Think you can keep up, kid?" The two begin to run with Impulse telling him, "You're gonna eat my dust, Grandpa!" Back inside of Flash's subconscious, Flash sees Jesse and Max stating, "I feel like I know you. You were speedsters, but..." Jesse yells as they've been trapped here for years, but he must hold on. Don't let himself get lost again. You paid for the Flashpoint enough. Both Jesse and Max reach out when suddenly everything stops. And Jesse says that's the spirit. "It's good to see you again. Your guilt made you see us as nightmares instead of the truth." Flash yells out, "I remember now. You're Max Mercury, the Zen Master of Speed Force, and you're Jesse Quick. You saw the science of the Speed Force like your father. Is Johnny Quick okay?" She sighs, stating that her father died before the Flashpoint, but she can feel him around. And more importantly, "How did you find us here, Barry?" Flash says, "Well, I didn't. Eobard Thawne stole my body with vibrations." And Max scoffs, stating that Thawne always wanted to be him. Guess he found a way to do it literally. But right now, he has to escape this. He has to use the Speed Force within his mind. He has to use the speed thinking to reach out beyond the limits of his mind. Can he do that? Flash begins to concentrate, and as he does, he sees glimpses of the real world, and he sees himself running with Bart. Max says that Bart is with him. They need to get back now. Bart doesn't know that that's Eobard. Together we can help you regain your body, Barry. But you're going to need to learn about speed as fast as possible. Meanwhile, over in Central City, Trickster, Cold, and Glider burst out of a bank with bags full of money, and Trickster asks, "Isn't this more fun than sitting around? We could just run a few more scams and..." But at that moment, there's a small burst of energy with Eobard and Impulse appearing. Eobard asks, "You got this?" And Impulse says, "Do Flashes run?" Glider quickly grabs Cold, asking, "Isn't he?" And Cold yells, "Let's just get out of here. Why would Dawn be any better?" As they leave, Eobard stomps and Flash shouts through him, telling Bart to run. Impulse runs over, grabbing the officers, bringing them away, calling out that he's on it. Eobard rubs his head, stating that it seems like Barry is. But Trickster grabs one of his bombs, yelling, "That looks like the real Flash is trying to." Eobard grabs the bomb, asking, "What? He's doing what?" He takes the bomb, throwing it back in the Trickster's face, and Impulse watches, asking, "Why?" Eobard grabs Trickster by his jacket, stating, "James Jesse thought he was so smart, fooling everyone, but we all know who the real fool is, right? Take him to Iron Heights." Impulse says that they should probably get him to a hospital. And Eobard says, "You're gonna feel bad for a rogue? That doesn't seem very heroic. It doesn't sound like justice. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe you aren't Flash family material, Impulse. What would happen if you became the Flash again? We both know what happened last time. We don't want a repeat of that, do we? Or maybe you just want to go back to your friends, disappear for another few years, leave the Flash business to me." As Eobard leaves, Impulse tries to find something to say, but he remains silent. Over in Nebraska, Kid Flash and Avery stand watch outside of the West family cabin when they feel the ground shake. Eobard speeds in Barry's bodies, telling them that he's very proud of them. "Great work, everyone." Iris steps out, asking how did he find them, and Eobard tells her, "You're my lightning rod." Iris asks him if it's safe for him to be here, and Eobard takes off the mask, telling them that he took care of Thawne. Avery asks, "What about the Legion of Zoom?" And Eobard says, "What's with all the questions? How about the three of us go take care of Thawne's team and show them who's boss?" Just then there's a loud crack as Impulse jets in, kicking Eobard in the face. "You're mean, and Barry Allen isn't mean." After hitting him a few more times, Impulse blasts him away, yelling, "You're not my grandpa!" Kid Flash yells out, "Wait, who the hell are you?" And Impulse asks him, "Who the sprock are you?" While the two begin to bicker over who the real Kid Flash should be, Eobard gets back up, stating, "I should have killed the damn brat." And Iris tells Kid Flash not to worry. Impulse is family. And Impulse runs up, hugging her, stating, "I missed you, Grandma." Kid Flash shouts, asking, "What did he say?" And Avery folds her arms, stating, "Oh my god, I really hate time travel stuff. Never going to do it." Impulse then asks, "Where is Wally? Maybe he can help us." Iris asks, wait, you don't know what happened to Wally? Eobard charges in yelling,
Wally's not gonna be joining you today. Maybe that's what Barry really needed, to run alone.
Iris holds out her arms to protect the kid, stating that this is not Barry. He tried once before with Wally, on her wedding day. And Eobard laughs,
Are you giving me a history lesson? I already know all about your futures and how it's going to end. So how about we just speed it up a little bit?
At that moment, a voice calls out, Son, I mean this with all due respect.
Get the hell away from those kids!
And at that moment, Jay Garrick speeds in, standing between Eobard and the others. With Jay arriving, he quickly jumps into action to fight, and Eobard yells out,
What a surprise! Jay Garrick to save the day? But I've seen your future, and you're just a footnote in history!
Avery watches, asking who is the guy in the helmet, and Impulse shouts that that's the First Flash. And we gotta help him! Jay blocks one of Eobard's attacks, telling Impulse, No, you need to get as far away as possible, son. Eobard manages to get a kick in, asking, does he know why Barry kept him around for so long?
Because he was polite! He never cared about your advice. Was hard water anyway.
Eobard gets ready to finish the fight, but before he can get his punch in, his body begins to violently vibrate as Barry is trying to regain control of his body. Eobard focuses and runs off, stating that Barry is acting quicker than expected.
Time to accelerate my plans!
As he escapes, Kid Flash asks if they should follow him, but Jay tells him once everyone is safe, he'll take care of it. For now, they just need to use the Speed Force connection to track where Eobard is going. Iris then says, actually, they might not have to look very hard. She just got an email tip at the newspaper. Elsewhere, Captain Cold and the rest of Eobard's Legion of Zoom stand waiting. Cold says that this is where they're supposed to be. I hate the Flash too, but this? Desecrating some lady's grave? As everyone looks at Nora Allen's grave, Trickster asks, who is this person? Anyone else getting a feeling that Thawne's lost his marbles? Dawn then asks how they can be questioning Eobard's plans when he's been right about everything so far. And at that moment, Eobard slides in, telling the Tornado Twins, thank you, but I need Nora Allen's body. Nora Allen is an important marker in this timeline, and because of that, she has temporal energy. If I can extract that energy, I can ground this body and Barry Allen will be gone forever. But inside of the Flash's mind, he says that he can feel himself getting control again. He's regaining his body. Max Mercury tells him to just let it all soak in and let the emotions guide him. Remove the hurdles that are laid out. Flash feels his powers coming back, stating that he's getting some traction. So he can. But before he can finish, a voice calls out, tick-tock, tick-tock, you're running out of time! At that moment, a green costume speedster rockets in sliding, shouting, Eobard promised to get me out of this hellhole! After he won, he'd let me take over Brother Bart's body, and then I can be Eobard's Kid Flash! As the child continues throwing punches and missing, Flash asks, who? Max tells him that that is Thaddeus Thawne, a twisted clone of Bart Allen from the future. Flash keeps dodging, telling him, all I see is a kid in pain. Just like Eobard, if fighting a kid is what's between me and freedom, then we're gonna be here for a while. Back out in the real world, Eobard yells to everyone to hurry up.
Dig up Nora!
Grodd gets ready, but Glider tells him don't, and Cold says, she's right, this isn't us. Eobard shouts that once they're all done here, then they'll have everything that they ever wanted. They will rule the past, present, and at that moment, a purple blur shoots out, cracking him in the face. A silver helmet then bounces off the heads of everyone. As Eobard is straightening himself up, he says, I knew they'd follow the Speed Force and find me. And Kid Flash tells him, actually, we got a tip where you were heading. Eobard pauses for a moment, asking, who would? And then Trickster laughs, haha, gotcha! In frustration, Eobard sends Trickster back to his timeline for betraying him, shouting, you are a waste! Tornado Twins, make your papa proud. The twins start to summon a tornado, but Dawn says that it's time to introduce themselves to the family. In the middle of the attack, Impulse holds his ground, telling them, you know, we never get a chance to meet, but I can tell that this isn't the version of you. Dawn yells, how could you possibly know what we've gone through? Our father left us. Impulse pushes through, telling him, I know what it's like to live without a dad. I was lucky to find a family to fill that role, but I've never given up hope that they'd be here with me someday. So please. Impulse reaches out, touching Dawn's hand,
and he stops asking, "Son?" The twins begin to fade back to their time, and Dawn realizes what happened, what is going on, and who Impulse is. Thawne did something to us. He used some kind of power on the negative speed force to make us like this. Thank you for saving us. Son, I'm proud of you. Impulse waves to them, stating, "There's so much I want to tell you, but I'll catch up with you soon, Dad." Eobard yells to everyone that they don't need Barry's brats. They've got the greatest Flash villains to ever live. Kill them! But back inside of Flash's mind, Thaddeus Thawne continues his attacks, with Flash telling him that he knows what it's like to be angry. But don't be like him. Don't follow in my footsteps. You can make your own path, Thaddeus. Thaddeus scoffs, "Whatever! Good luck fighting Thawne and his army. If they all weren't on the wrong vibrational frequency, I'd join them. See ya!" Jesse asks, "Wait, wrong vibrational frequency? They must be getting close for Eobard to send him. Let's see how he likes it when they push harder." Flash pushes again, trying to steal back his body, and Eobard falls to his knees, yelling, "I am Barry Allen! I am the fastest man alive! No, 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 no!" And while Eobard is struggling, Grodd says that this is their chance. They kill Eobard and take care of both Flashes. As Grodd runs forward, Jay stops him, telling him, "There isn't a chance that that's gonna happen." Eobard screams again as lightning strikes with a crack-a-doom. Eobard gets up in his original body, stating, "Well, I hope you're happy. You've ruined my fun. Oh no, only Barry Allen can be the Flash." Flash tells him, "That's what you never understood. I'm not the Flash alone. We're the Flash." With the addition of Max Mercury and Jesse Quick at his side, Kid Flash yells, "Looks like the odds are on our side." Eobard runs off asking, "Do you really think I didn't think of this? That I didn't stop at gathering just a small handful of the Flash's greatest enemies? I was building an army! And if I can't be the Flash, there will be no Flash or Flash family." As most of the villains are plucked out of time, Eobard laughs, telling them, "This is my Legion of Doom, and we will kill each and every one of you and every person in Central City. That's a Reverse Flash fact." Soon the fists begin to fly in an all-out brawl with everyone, and the Flash quickly calls out to Kid Flash that they need to get Iris out of here. With Kid Flash doing that, Eobard asks, "Did you just send your love away again? This is going to leave your family outnumbered." Flash throws a villain into Eobard, telling him, "I noticed you don't have any speedsters in this group. What are you afraid of?" But soon Max says he has an idea. They just need to stop and meditate. Impulse asks him, "Really? Now, Max?" And Max tells him not to worry, just cover him. With more of the Flash family occupied, Eobard's Legion begins to take over the fight. And as it starts to come down around Max, Impulse yells that they are out of time. But after a few more minutes pass, and Max opens up his eyes and a voice says, "There's one thing that all the Flashes have in common. It's that we're always a little late to the party." As Wally's kids, Jai and Iray, lead the charge, Flashes from all across time rush in. Iray yelling to Max that they got the call. Kid Flash runs by with the civilian asking, "We got backup now? Good, we got to evacuate the city." With the group splitting up, Avery takes the remaining fighters, telling them that they're going into the fight. As the tides begin to turn in the favor of the massive Flash family, Eobard focuses his attention on Flash, and Flash asks, "Why are you doing all of this? Why stop me from solving a murder?" After getting hit, Eobard stumbles back, telling him, "I have seen your future. I dedicated my life to the Flash Museum in the 25th century. In the future, I worshipped you. Long after the feel of rejection, I was your biggest fan, Barry Allen. And when I found out that I'd have to die over and over again at the hands of the Flash, I set out to make you hurt. That is why I changed Hunter Zolomon's fate to become Zoom by giving the clown the gun. That is why I killed Godspeed and planted the black hole evidence so that he'd go to the CSI and eventually become who he was. Did you really think that this was just about killing your mother? Wrong! That's why everyone heard my whispers. With Jay, with you, everyone could hear the whispers of doubt, including Wally. I did it all. I'm the one who set your life on this path, Barry Allen." Flash begins to shake, asking, "What did you do?" And Eobard punches Flash in the chest, yelling, This was planned from the very beginning. It was all gonna come down to this moment. On this day, the Flash loses. At that moment, a lightning bolt strikes with a thundering crack-a-boom, knocking the two of them back, and a voice calls out to the Flash, stating, "Find me, Barry. Find me." Flash asks if that's Wally, and Eobard gets back up, stating, "What? Not again! No, this isn't right! This isn't what happens! This is not the future! Things must have changed." Eobard runs, and the Flash quickly chases after him, but still the battle with the villains continue. Once everyone is out of harm's way, Impulse says that he might have a plan. He has done a lot of time traveling, and it's pretty wacky, but these bad guys are all on different vibrational frequencies. Jai asks if they just run around the bad guys really fast and correct their frequencies, and Iray says that should send them back, right, Impulse? So all of the speedsters begin to run and vibrate through the crowds, with Kid Flash yelling, "This hurts! I don't know if I can!" And Jay yells, "You just need to keep running, son. We can do it." A few moments later, a blinding light begins to shine, and an earth-shattering crack-a-boom rings out, and as the light fades, Kid Flash looks around at the empty streets asking, did it work? The plan did work, but Impulse has one final question. With all the villains gone, with all the Flash family gone, where is Barry? Elsewhere, the Flash is right behind Eobard, shouting, "I am going to kill you, Thought!" Eobard calls out that this is it. We are at the finish line. It's do or die, Flash! Soon, I'll be back in the 25th century, where I can learn new ways to torture you and the family. Or we can skip all of it and just keep running forever. We will keep doing this endless loop of death and rebirth. Flash grabs onto Eobard, and Eobard yells, "Do it! Let's relive history together. One little twist, just like with Godspeed. Kill me!" But the Flash lets go, and the two slide to a stop. I'm done with this. It's the same thing, over and over, Eobard. It's time I try something different. Something new. He pulls down his mask. He looks at Eobard. He looks him dead in the eyes. The anger within Eobard welling up, prepared for his final moment. But Barry changes it. "I forgive you, Eobard." Eobard stops moving, asking, "You, what?" Flash goes on, telling him, "We are in a loop. It's time for us to move forward. Your hate for me keeps us tethered together, but no more rejection. No more of this defining who you are." Eobard charges, screaming, "Our hate is forever!" But the Flash vibrates, and as Eobard passes through, he stops, asking, what was that energy?" The Flash tells him that he pulled the Speed Force into himself, just like he did when he created the Flashpoint. An out-of-body experience gave him an idea. He can never save his mother, but he can save Eobard Thawne. Eobard asks, "Wait, did you just ground me?" Flash tells him, "Yes. I vibrated to allow some of my Speed Force to stay with you. You need a lightning rod. It's me." Eobard looks at himself. "I was a paradox. It helped me avoid all of the changes in time. This will reset me." "Wait, no. Don't do this to me, Barry. The last time this happened, I forgot everything. Please, no!" And as the light takes him over, Eobard finds himself in the 25th century as the curator of the Flash Museum. He finds himself at the beginning of it all, at the beginning of his timeline, with no knowledge of anything. He tells a group of kids that he will be their guide today, and he begins to tell them all about the adventures of Jay Garrick. But one of the children stop, asking, "Who's that?" Eobard tells the child that is a great question. This is a statue of the Reverse Flash. Sadly, there's not a lot of information from the 21st century in regards of who he is. But they do know that he played a significant role in the Flash's life, and some would say that he is the Flash's greatest villain. It's hard to imagine living a life full of hate, especially for the Flash family. It's just not a way to live. Who wants to see the Godspeed section? As Flash watches Eobard leave, he runs back through the different points in time, correcting all of the things that Eobard has done with the Legion of Zoom. Even the grave of August Hart seemed to have disappeared. But there's still one mystery left to solve. Who was Heather Macy, and why did Eobard Thawne target her? Flash watches as Heather's family plays in the yard, and Heather asks if there's anything that she can help him with. He tells her no, he was just admiring her home. It reminds him of when he was a kid. His name is Barry Allen.
Heather introduces herself and asks if they know each other. The Flash tells her no, he doesn't think so, and he'll be leaving. Make sure to tell Mr. Macy that I said that you have a lovely home. Heather said actually, Macy is her last name. She never changed it. Her husband is Thawne. The Flash realizes what this means, that the one mystery that Thawne never wanted him to solve is the mystery about his life. He quietly laughs to himself. Right, of course. Well, you have a great day, Miss Mason. Before everyone heads back to their timelines, the Flash family has a barbecue to celebrate their victory, but as he gets a call, Flash heads inside to make himself something to eat just before he leaves. And a voice asks him, why does he do it? No judgment or anything. But why go out there and risk his life to help strangers? Is it because of what happened? The Flash finishes his sandwich telling the person, no, I never put the costume on because of any suffering or tragedy. It's simple. I'm the Flash because of what she taught me. Because it's the right thing to do. As the Flash continues, he says his goodbyes to his mother's image, and he runs out the door. Living up to a legend can feel impossible some days, but because of his friends and his family, he will continue to be the hero that everyone hopes for. He will make mistakes along the way, he will trip and he will fall, sometimes in the great race of life. But he knows that will never stop him from always moving forward. He will never stop trying to be the Flash. Thank you guys so much for watching such an incredibly long Flash video. Better than any of the seasons that ever came out of the TV show, and personally, one of my favorite Flash storylines ever. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please consider subscribing to the channel as we're going to attempt to bring you full stories again on every Monday. And that's it, guys. We'll see you real soon right here at Comicstorian. Yeah. If you want early access, please consider going to our Patreon, patreon.com/comicstorian. Hit that like and subscribe button. If you stuck around all the way ending, my surprise was I'm giving you cookies. Go to your front door right now, and if you don't find a cookie, go to my comments and say, Benny, I demand my cookie. I demand my chocolate chip cookie. Please send me that cookie.